Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, everyone, for sticking around, coming along this afternoon to hear our presentation. We've titled it, "We've Only Just Begun," with apologies to the carpenters who were California-based. I assume that you're here as investors looking for companies that are exposed to, or preferably are creating events that can move a stock's price a long way and make you serious money. In oil and gas companies, a platform of production topped up by high flow rates from high reserve discoveries will move valuations a long way and quickly. My premise today to you is that ASX-listed Sacgasco, ticker SGC, is your target company. Firstly, a quick snapshot of who or what we are. Firstly, I think we have the lowest burn rate of any company on the ASX. Listening to Q talking about cutting costs and living within their means, we've been doing that for a long time. We only have 242 million shares on issue, and we have, for us, a lot of cash in the bank. SGC was incorporated in 2005 and has not undergone any reconstructions, and that reflects our measured approach, which is protective of shareholder value. The board and management own around 10% of the company, and we have our shareholders' interests at heart. I've been around the international oil and gas business and resources business for almost 45 years, and have been associated with big gas discoveries and developments worldwide. And I sincerely believe that Sacgasco has uncovered what we've uncovered in the northern Sacramento Basin is world class. On top of that, I will say it is the best I have seen in an onshore location, particularly given the massive local market for gas and the available associated infrastructure and the underexplored nature of the basin, despite its 6,000 shallow wells. So let's take a little bit of a look back. How many of you were here last year? Put up your hands. Thank you. How many of you rushed out and bought SGC shares immediately afterward when they were available at 3 cents or less? Very well done, guys. Well done. This will be my only backward-looking slide in the deck today. Those of you who were here will recall that I presented Sacgasco's relative position on the good oil presenter peer group, and we were the smallest market cap company at that point in time. And remember also that Oil Search Peter Botten threw out the challenge, and I couldn't fit Oil Search on here because it was way off the scale, so it was going to distort things too much. And he threw out the challenge for us to aspire to being like them. And so we've started off all right, I think. Since last year, we were down here somewhere. We're now there. Our share price has gone up from lows of around 2.1 cents, I think 12-month low, 2.5 cents on that previous slide, to yesterday, at that point, and today we've been as high as 23 cents or something like that, closed at 17 cents. So it's been a good run, and it's been a good run relative to the XEJ Energy Index. But remember, we've only just begun. I also stood up here and said I wouldn't be back unless we had drilled Dempsey. Well, we haven't quite finished Dempsey, but we're well along the way. And we've also done a lot of other things in the meantime. We tidied up our JV. We farmed out interests for good carriers and retained significant interest, 50% equity in the case of the Dempsey project. And we acquired more wells for production, acreage and infrastructure. As I just said, we've also drilled Dempsey. So I'll give you a little update. Any of you who have read our releases will be pretty well informed by this point in time. And you will have seen this morning that we've just reached total depth on the Dempsey well and are conditioning the well for logging. Our strategy is a simple one and based on the KISS principle. We seek out and we seek to own gas wells with associated infrastructure and leases. We also acquire leases in and around mapped prospects. We look for new opportunities to increase production and we explore near the infrastructure that we've purchased and own. Then we use that infrastructure for early cash flow generation. In this context, Dempsey signals for us a new dawn and the beginning of a fresh and exciting journey. Just to have a little interlude here from the serious stuff, a few slides from the drilling at Dempsey and what we've been up to over the last few weeks. In this slide, there's various images. We internally talked, and I'm starting at the top left, talked about hiring an elephant rig to tame a gorilla prospect at Dempsey, where we also used a T-Rex bit to drill with as well, and that's our 8.5-inch bit up there on the top left-hand corner. Other images are the mud logging room. Anyone been on a rig? They all look the same. They're all as dirty and as messy as any other one we've seen. But they're obviously important for what we're doing. We were pretty concerned about the amount of gas that we would see here. We actually set up an emergency flare soon after running the 9 5/8-inch casing, just in case we took kicks of gas that we couldn't handle. Also there gives you a bit of a feel for the size of our equipment. That's me standing next to a little forklift. Either I shrunk or that's a pretty big piece of equipment. My 3-year-old grandson said to me, "Gergie, is that your builder's hat?" Pretty perceptive. Yes, it's my builder's hat. Hopefully we're building a wonderful company. Also in this image, to show that even in a modern, relatively complex operation, that we have to resort to simple tools, the wheelbarrow, shovel and rakes. And talking about going above and beyond, did our team really plumb the gas gathering system into the back of the toilets to gather that methane emissions? Okay, let's get a little more serious here. It's been an exciting well to drill at Dempsey. This piece of rock here in my hands has been a bit of a bane of our existence, actually. It drilled a bit slower than we'd hoped for. But it has laid undisturbed for 100 million years before we drilled it and brought it to the surface a week ago. Along the way in getting to the TD this morning, the drilling team has set many new basin records. Not because they wanted to, but because we studied what had happened in the past out here. And we set out to ensure that to the best of our ability that we reach targets safely with a good hole to log and complete. Discipline and conservatism were very much to the fore. And at times, some have found that a little frustrating. But it's been a key component of the project to date. Tripping at the right times, doing the wiper trips, circulating the gas up, and we've had a fair bit of gas, And all those things have contributed to getting us safely to the TD. And hopefully we'll get good Sahuita logs and get this well cased and tested. We found 4 zones of pay at the field producing levels up here. Remember last year I said these are our bailout zones. We're hoping to drill into a virgin area that would find enough gas up there that if we failed at anything deeper, that would pay for the well. As reported, we found 4 zones with net pay in them. We believe they are in a virgin area of the field. We estimate that the gas from those alone will pay out this well. In the exploration phase of the well, down here below casing, now last year I did say we were going to set casing below the G zone sand, but we thought better of it, and thank goodness we did actually, because that was a good point, an excellent point to set casing to handle the gas that came out of this below. As we've regularly reported, I lost count of the number of them, I told you that would happen last year, of the number of zones of gas that we've found along the way here, with significant shows in prospective sandstone reservoirs. And we're awaiting logging and testing to know the full outcome of that. Not tried to illustrate all the zones here, but merely confirm that we've reached our total depth this morning and we're now preparing to log the open hole below casing. As the guys on the ground say, this has been a gassy well. We'll know more about the reservoirs and the prospective gas pay once we've seen the logs. We've certainly seen some reasonable looking sands along the way under the microscope, and we already know that Dempsey is the largest structure on the eastern side of this basin. Anyone familiar with the vagaries of operations know better than to ask me to predict the timing of when we'll have log results, but it will all be soon. Sorry. So let me just step through the next steps at Dempsey. As you can see from the distance from the wellhead underneath the rig here to the meter station, it's not a long way to connect up once we've proved there's gas there. And we already have announced that we know there's gas in the shallow sands anyhow. The next steps are we're preparing for logging now. So we'll have wireline logs sometime in the next couple of days, soonest, as I've put down here in my notes. We'll complete the well for testing after that, following logging. We're pretty confident that that's going to happen. We'll test and sample the gas, and that'll be about 2 weeks later, because we need to let the cement set properly on the liner that we plan on running, and we need to move off that gorilla or elephant of a rig, I forget which way around I had it, and bring a workover rig in that's less expensive to do the completion, testing and perforations and run the completion. We'll connect to that meter station just there. Once Mr. Buffett's PG&E have come out and sampled the gas and given us the all clear to put it into the system. I don't expect that's a problem based on the gas chromatograph readings we've seen. I think we've got a nice clean dry gas here. And it's just like we produce every day. Then we'll proceed to sell the gas, earning revenue. After all, that's the key goal here. It's fun getting there, but we've got to get that revenue that builds the company. Recall, for every million cubic feet of gas per day we produce is $3 million plus US dollars of gross cash flow per day at current prices. And also recall that Sacgasco has 50% interest in the Dempsey well. Once the dust has settled, we'll decide on an appraisal development program to develop the Dempsey structure. It's a pretty big structure after all. And we, again, remind you, we have other infrastructure here. We have other producing wells. We have other meter stations that we can drill off the same pads. We can switch the gas from those meter stations to this meter station if we need to continue production, just like we did here. We switched the gas from here up to the meter station a mile or so to the north. Permitting the next well, it's a 30 to 40 day process. Can't say that about too many other parts of the world, is it? Can we? That's why we love California. course, local wines help us a little bit there as well. So this is how we feel about the results of Dempsey to date. We're still confident of the potential in front of us. Our results have already shaken up the local industry. That is a double-edged sword, because it increases the competition for land. But it's good to see because there are lots of people being employed and that have been out of work for quite a long time in this area. Our next project is the next high potential project is Alvarez, where we have 1,500 metres of gas shows in a well that was drilled in 1982, drilling for oil. They just walked away from the gas. 1,500 metres of gas shows there. 500 metres at the top have never been logged because they had to drill the casing in across those top 500 metres. So a wonderful problem for us to go investigate. And we'll start the permitting process. We've started the permitting process there already, and we'll move on that. It'll probably take us a little longer than at Dempsey because we're not in a gas-producing unit, but it shouldn't take us too long. And it's a big structure at Alvarez, 2+ TCF of potential best estimate, recoverable resource, prospective resource, and it is on 2D seismic. So our platform of increasing gas production. A simple pathway to rapid growth and cash flow is to use our operated production as a platform. We have production from a number of gas fields. We have a modest level of production at the moment. And we're working to connect up a number of wells that we have currently shut in because they aren't accessing a pipeline, and we could easily treble our current modest production by one pipeline connection alone. And that work is progressing well. There are also numerous workover opportunities to improve production. There's also Dempsey. A good gas flow of only 2.5 million cubic feet of gas a day at Dempsey would move us to the second largest gas producer in the basin. As we increase production, we can do more workovers, drill more wells, which become a self-sustaining process, creating a wonderful platform of value. I personally believe we'll also see significantly higher gas prices in the short rather than the longer term, which will provide additional growth potential. Just an asset summary here. We've got the Dempsey project that we're currently working on, Alvarez to come, multiple mapped lookalike projects, 200 BCF and up, production and infrastructure in 6 gas fields that and also have multiple business as usual prospects, 1 to 6 BCF type prospects, up to 15 BCF in some of them, which we can start drilling again if the gas prices got up over $4 an MCF. And we're currently at $3, almost $3.50 in California. So production, underpinning, exploration, prospectivity and activity is the key takeaway for you guys all out there as investors. As I come to the end of my time today, our investment opportunity is easy to sum up. What is there not to like about this equation? Massive market, motivated management, must be the rest of the team, a preferred energy alternative, natural gas, a company with a simple focus but diversified asset base that provides events that can result in a lot of share movement, as we've finally proven in the last couple of days. It's got to make a good investment opportunity. Before closing, I want to thank everyone who's helped Sacgasco get this far. It's been a relatively long and sometimes winding journey, and we've kissed a few frogs along the way. But the excitement is building. A special thanks to our drilling and production team in California. Their work has been exemplary. And thanks to our shareholders for their support, particularly those who've supported in our capital raising last week. Finally, thanks to our joint venture for their input and particularly for their funding. Without that, we wouldn't have got Dempsey drilled. It's now time to return to the theme of my presentation. We've only just begun. I'm not going to sing it. As investors, I would welcome you to the Sacgasco team. Thank you.